chance for Dan and Misfits to prove themselves as a team, as individuals here in the LEC season. I am Quickshot, joined by Froskurinn, and we're jumping into a game that potentially is advertising Misfits' potential, their ability to come back next year, and for Vitality to lock in a spot in playoffs.
And that's the big takeaway for stakes here for Vitality. It's that if they win here, they do lock themselves for playoffs, whereas Misfits are, again, playing to play again. It's about that skill expression. It's about how far can you actually climb with this Misfits roster.
All of the pressure on Vitality. Win and you are in to the postseason. And for the ups and downs that Vitality have experienced this split, it would be a big turnaround. Just a quick update. As Vitality on the blue side, they are 3-0 on the blue side this split. And Froskurinn, when we were preparing for this match, we noticed Vitality, they like picking red side. They're not very good at winning on red side. They have a 4-9 win-loss, and they've picked it 6 out of the 8 potential attempts. Today, not going to have the chance for counter pick. What's that going to do for the drafts?
I'm really curious where the Yuumi is going to land here, and if the Misfits are going to take it away. So the thing about Vitality is they love leaving Yuumi open, but they also love piloting this champion. And for Vitality to finally flop from red side to blue side, I'm curious if it means it's going to be about that Yuumi as the priority pick. So Misfits, it's now or never. Do you let this champion through, knowing that it's one of Jactroll's most played?
And it's going to be impressive if he can make it work. Yuumi, 4 games played, 1 win and 3 losses. But the volley bear is there as a potential counter. And if you notice the Misfits side, it is not DOS standing next to Hansama. It is, in fact, Hiva. He is back in the roster for Misfits. And I know for a fact that Frost, you like his playstyle, but neither support will be playing Yuumi today.
Yeah, and now I'm curious. I wanted the Draven so badly between Attila and Hansama. You know that you have 2 key Draven players in this matchup now. Draven is good into things like Xayah, but Xayah and Rakan both still through the ban phases, so maybe there's different priority. But instead, Jiizuké is going back to the Corki. This champion is so tried and true in the LEC right now. We can talk all day long about why Corki is so good, but it's a safe lane phase, a safe early game for a very high reward late game. His scaling potential, his range is just disgusting.
Oh, and you know my favorite thing about it? Leader is not an Azir player. Not yet, anyway. So hopefully the Corki Azir matchup is not the one we'll see today. It is the Xayah locked in thus far.
I really like that you bring up that point about Leader and Kirei, though. The fact that Leader is an assassin player. So this could be a strategy from Vitality to say, okay, give the Corki to Jiizuké. It's also a very safe laner with its Valkyrie. And if you know Leader and Kirei are going to blitz at you, just absorb the pressure, just scale up, and you can beat them at 25 minutes.
Oh, absorb the pressure. We'll see if either team can do that, because I don't have the biggest confidence really in neither of squads on the Rift. That patient, absorbing, controlling play, not something we've seen really indicative of either squad. But the Xayah Gragas locked in for Misfits, and now Vitality have a shot.
Remember, I said that Draven is a really good pick into the likes of Xayah. She's very low mobility, so you can catch her out, you can walk her down, and Attila's actually not going to go for it. I wanted him to throw down the gauntlet. Instead, he goes for a super long-range pairing of the Caitlyn. Now, you did see the Morgana flash hover there for a second. There we go. It's now locked in. Morgana and Caitlyn work really well together over their wave control. The ability to use the Tormented Soil to push with the Piltover Peacemaker means that their wave push is very strong, but also if you land that Dark Binding, it's very easy to chain CC with Caitlyn's traps. There's a lot of fun combos with these 2 champions in the bot lane.
Really old school bot lane duo. And you have to think, with all of the pressure on Vitality to win this game, guarantee themselves a shot in the playoffs, guarantee some championship points looking towards Worlds, arguably the safer option than going for that Draven. Over on the other side, Misfits will lock in the Tahm Kench. So, Xayah, TK, and Gragas in the jungle.
This is the emergency. They're like, okay, it's Caitlyn, Morgana. We need to get this Xayah out of trouble. They don't go for the Rakan. Instead, they grab the Tahm Kench. Like, okay, if you get hit by the binding, if you step on the trap, it will be okay. Tahm Kench is here to help us get through this lane phase.
Well, that's assuming that it's not then the Tahm Kench that gets caught out by that CC.
So what's curious about this is that I expected Attila and Jactroll to go for a much more kill-oriented bot lane. There can still be kill pressure with Morgana and Caitlyn, but that's not necessarily how I see it play out. This makes me think that they're going to try to play through Cabochard, that it's about package timing, it's about roaming top lane, and it's about getting that Dan Cabochard, whatever volatile matchup it's going to be.
What champions do you anticipate or would you like to see now that we've got a little bit of flavor coming in?
Well, Aatrox is kind of the big one that stands out, but it's dangerous to pick Aatrox if you're Vitality because you know that Dan is a great Jax player, and Jax has excellent matchups into Aatrox over in that 1v1, so I'm curious if they're going to pinch that, if they're going to ban the Jax. If that's the case, I think that kind of gives a free okay to grab the Aatrox, but since Vitality are on blue side, maybe they don't risk it. But my question is, what is it going to be that rounds out the top side? To me, this reads as a more carry-oriented top side game.
Okay, Dan has not yet played Aatrox on our stage. All 4 games this summer was in fact Soaz that ran that champion. Whether or not he's got it in his wheelhouse, we'll find out shortly. It's the last ban from Vitality, and Misfits will give themselves at least one of these solo laners to confirm. Kennen will be removed from the pool. Now it's going to be up to Misfits to decide, do they give Dan or Leader the counter pick?
And again, this Corki can still technically be flexed. We did see it appear in the LEC over on the top side. In the LPL, it's also played top a lot, so that could also be an extra ace up Vitality's sleeve that we don't really know where this is going to land. I would love to see Leader Zed, but I don't think it's going to happen today.
It is going to happen today! Yes! Okay, so we get the Zed locked in. And you know what? Go in with the bang, go out with the bang. Leader and this young roster definitely can make this work. I love the hover from Attila, but I do not anticipate it. But
okay, before we even go to what Vitality's last picks are going to be, the fact that it's already the Gragas. Gragas excels at level 2, level 3 ganks. He's a great early ganking jungler. You're bringing the AP damage. Now you have Leader on his signature champion of that Zed. We've seen the highlight reels that this guy can put together with this champion. Misfits have set it up. They have laid down the gauntlet. We have a very defensive bot lane with Xayah ultimate and Tahm Kench. So if we want to have kill pressure down there or global pressure, we can. But otherwise, it is feed Leader everything. Unlock him from that lane. Allow this Zed to roam around post 6.
But now you talked a lot about the roaming, especially with package timing here for Jiizuké's Corki, assuming it goes in his hands, and if there's Renekton locked in, it will be. So now we've got the duo, Gragas Zed, coming up against the likes of Corki and Jarvan. Where do you see the strengths and the weaknesses on both duos?
Well, Corki's going to want to try to bounce the wave early and try to abuse his range, so there's a possibility that Mowgli gets a cheeky gank in early levels to try to burn a flash. That said, Mowgli has not been paying attention to Jiizuké. I think that this is about Jiizuké waiting for package in and looking for roams, and with that Renekton locked in, this is all about the Cabochard. Get this Renekton going early. I expect Mowgli to pay attention to this lane.
All right, so let's keep our eyes on Mowgli. It's not something we've come to expect, and Froskurinn on the money with the predictions. It is the first time Aatrox here for Dan up in the top lane, and it's one of the champions that you said was going to be prioritized. This rounds out the team composition for Misfits. I see a whole lot of physical damage on the side of Misfits and a little bit more mixed on the sides of Vitality. When we step back and look at the 5v5s, do you prefer one squad to the other?
I mean, they're very different play styles and how they're going to execute on the game. Again, Vitality, it feels like you want to get Cabochard, mow those resources, give Mowgli more of his time, and then you have the range and the scaling potential. Both Caitlyn and Corki, when it comes to these team fight phases, very long range tools, and it's going to be very obnoxious for Misfits to actually break into that. Gragas has to be so on point how he's using this cast during these team fights.
Now, of course, if he was able to find some sort of flank with that Abyssal Voyage, you can at least deliver a Gragas or an Aatrox to the back line, but your vision really has to be impeccable to make that work.
And that's the key word there. It was about the flanks, it's about the side lane, it's about the fact that you have an Aatrox, you have a Zed, you have a Tahm Kench. Misfits going back to the tried and true 1-3-1 potential play style.
About damn time. Misfits flirted with other play styles, and frankly, I didn't like it. I loved what they did in 1-3-1. Let's see if they can make Vitality's road to playoffs even harder. And welcome back to the final week of the regular season here in the LEC. Vitality are setting themselves up for an early play, but Misfits may have the read on it. You look at the minimap, you can see them waiting in the red buff.
So this is actually a trap. Now, we talk about Gragas pathing all the time. It's very common that Gragas will start red side, they'll clear the camps, get an early reset timer on Krugs, and then back for their Predator boots. So that's why you see Vitality group up, knowing they're against a Gragas jungle, and placing deep vision to try to figure out exactly what Kirei is doing here, because it's also Kirei, and you know that this guy is going to be ganking all the time.
Yeah, and if those ganks work, that's how we've seen Misfits sort of accelerate ahead and pick up the few wins that the squad has been able to do for the split. We'll turn our attention to Vitality, who didn't overchase, didn't get caught up by the trap, and just remind everybody of what is at stake here if Vitality beat Misfits. So first and foremost, they will lock that playoff spot. Secondly, in our very next game, SK will appear, but if Vitality win, SK will be eliminated from contention. And Frosk, it's important to note that Vitality can still take 4th.
Yeah, so what's interesting about Vitality's standing in the playoffs is they're technically still in the line of fire, and that they can drop out. They're not locked 100%, but they can also climb ahead of Sjokz. If they win and Sjokz lose today, then the Sjokz versus Vitality match tomorrow is so important, because taking that 4th place spot can mean the difference between taking Fnatic in a best of 5 or dodging Fnatic in a best of 5.
Yeah, remember that if you are 5th or 6th, that means the team placed 3rd can pick either the 5th or the 6th seed.
So I do want to quickly point out what Mowgli did here. Very common pathing with Jarvan because you can get over those walls. He's caught by Kirei, doesn't get the smite, but now a little bit of scuffle.
All right, the flag and drag, get a small knock-up. Get some golf claps here in Berlin. Kirei's going low, flash available. Below 100, will smite down the Gromp for some HP.
Do want to credit Kirei right there. He was able to preserve his flash because he used the smite. That's completely bullied out of his jungle. And again, common pathing with the Jarvan. Vitality invaded early. They knew that Gragas started on the buff, but instead of Gragas clearing all of his camps, he tried to go buff to buff. Instead, Jarvan beat him to the punch, now has his blue. He's looking to get 3 buffed.
Really nicely done here by Mowgli. And this is exactly what you expect from Mowgli. He's a very in-your-face type of jungler. And you've said it a couple times already, Frost, that Kirei, he does like to gank. He likes to try to get into those lanes and try impact. But if you look at the minimap, top and bottom for Vitality shoving deep into Misfits territory. And in fact, so is Jiizuké in the mid lane as well.
I feel at this point, Kirei just kind of needs to cut his losses and really focus on farming up his jungle, securing his Raptor and his Krug camp. These are worth the most gold, the most experience. So I don't expect him to look for a cheeky level 2 gank on this mid lane. And you can see Jiizuké also responding to that potentially by having Mowgli cross through underneath him to give him that safety net, but also playing to the bottom side of the lane.
All right, Kirei's just going to put down the control ward. It will get spotted up by Mowgli and instantly cleared. That is a feels bad man.
That's a safety ward. That's not like a scouting ward. That's a please don't invade me. I just want my Krug camp ward.
Oh, so difficult. Well, look, Vitality have already built themselves up an 800 gold lead. Up in CS in the mid lane with some Klepto and CS, up in CS top, Klepto plus CS mid. Obviously the bottom working in their favor. That's very impressive when you consider we're not even at 4 minutes.
Yeah, but it's what is Mowgli going to do with this advantage right now? So the only person that was in danger of being ganked was actually Cabochard. But you can see Kirei is like, no, I really need to focus on just clearing my jungle, and is now walking down bot side to pick up his wolf camp and possibly contest for the scuttle.
All right, so while we're seeing that, I know we do keep hammering on about stakes, but it is very, very important. SK Gaming are in fact in the building, and they are watching this game with bated breath. Of course, if SK are unable, if Vitality win this game, SK are unable to do anything about it. So getting ready for the next match is against XL as soon as this follows.
The short and sweet of it is that if you are an SK Gaming fan, you are right now Misfits' biggest fan.
Yes.
You want Misfits to win, so your team has a miracle chance at making playoffs.
Okay, well look, let's see what Misfits have to do. Kirei finally going to get the Scuttle Crab. He's significantly further behind, down in levels as well, to his opposite number, but a couple of pings here in the mid lane.
Oh, that ward very nicely timed by Vitality. The fact that Jiizuké is able to use his TP, because this is the perfect timing for a gank. You can see Kirei reads it, he wants it, but spotted out on vision, he has to just deny, hits the Squire Bloom's orb, and is back to his own jungle. He has nowhere to go. He has nothing to do.
I'm already impressed with Vitality because we knew the tendencies of Misfits, the tendencies of Kirei. And right now, Kirei's going to find Mowgli. Remember, still 1 level down. Will get himself that little boop. Shadows over the wall from Leader, below 100 HP, flash forward, the smite will give some HP back. Leader needs an auto, he can't get in range, and he will not find the shuriken. Now all of a sudden Jiizuké is throwing out those frost bombs and trying to back away. There is movement from Jactroll in the river. If he can find a dark binding, something can happen, but that is a very good slow. Jiizuké stepping forward, Kirei's low, flash available to him, and he will escape for now.
Ah, that was almost Brother Mowgli giving a good pat on the back for Misfits right there. If Mowgli had died, that would have spelled disaster and put Kirei right back into the game. Now, he does hold on to his life, burning his flash though, that's certainly going to hurt. Not as bad because it's a Jarvan, you have the gap closer, and it just feels like this was the wrong read for Mowgli. He didn't expect Kirei to be in this bush, despite the fact that Kirei had walked through several points of vision here. You know what's fun about Zed and Electrocute?
Tell me.
Is how he gets to proc it multiple times off of his shurikens.
Yep.
Feels like it takes champions longer to proc Electrocute, and Zed just gets it for free.
It hurts so much when he can find everything, but fortunately there, Brother Mowgli was able to escape. Froskurinn, you were a little bit surprised at all by Mowgli's pathing choices. Obviously he's been in the jungle, but somewhat shadowing mid, or at least being around in that play.
I mean, he's definitely spending more time in the mid lane, but I think it's just a byproduct of trying to cover. It feels like Mowgli's game plan isn't necessarily to attack attack the lanes, whereas we normally think about Mowgli as like a heavy ganking jungler or heavy action jungler. He's just getting in Kirei's face, and he's just tracking Kirei. And he's like, if I can keep this guy down with me, then my lanes will outscale.
All right, well, take a look at how this impacts the match as it continues to play out, because again, Mowgli is moving towards his opposite number. You can see the jungle proximities, the top number in this mid lane stat. Last for Mowgli and Jiizuké, they do not work together traditionally very often or very well. A lot of deaths in that place.
This is a perfect example of that. Jiizuké is back in base, he doesn't have TP, and Mowgli is actually invading without pressure from his mid laner. This is classic Vitality. Now, Cabochard did roam down, but think of how much cleaner this would be if you also had your mid laner.
Yeah, or potentially safer as well. If Misfits had the read, could have reacted. They didn't in this case, so there was no additional punish. And as Jiizuké returns to lane, I'm not too familiar with mid lane builds, but I always thought Hex Drinker and Triforce was standard. He's gone for the Chain Vest, but I will forgive it into a Xayah Z Aatrox comp.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the fact that there's so much AD damage, and at this point, Leader would have kill pressure with the ultimate, and the fact that Assassins can build things like Serrated Dirk, have so high of base damage, and then have the penetration of the lethality on top of it. So I don't mind Jiizuké having the Respect Zed build with the early Chain Vest.
Yeah, definitely the case. So Mowgli will get caught out just a little. Takes a couple of tags from Dan, who's picked himself up a Warhammer, and this time around it's Jiizuké making the roam. He doesn't have the package yet, but he doesn't need it. And Dan is still sticking around. It's just before package timing. And Jiizuké, remember, his recall somewhat desynced with the invade from Mowgli. Didn't work out yet, and here comes Predator. And on Mowgli, Attila's in so much trouble. Gets taken out by a chilling smite. Honestly, that was the most anticlimactic kill I've seen in a while.
As soon as he saw Kirei turn that corner, he's like, crap. There's no getting out of this one.
That is the definition of an oopsie. But now all of a sudden there's a fight in the top lane. Cabo has still got the dominance available and just trying to deny CS. I mean, look, Dan is down 25 CS in this matchup, and he opted into it.
And it wasn't around the package timer, so we knew that this game was going to be about Cabochard. It hasn't been necessarily translating in terms of ganks, but it's giving him that pressure and keeping Dan so far down with a champion like Renekton that is so dominant in the lane phase. Yeah, Dan can fight back, but it's really dependent on how you hit that third Q with the Aatrox, which against Renekton, fairly difficult in some of these trade skirmishes.
Yeah, with the slice and dice and the stun, the kit works really well. But look, we're approaching 10 minutes. It's 1,000 gold advantage for Vitality, even though they conceded first blood. I mean, that is an impressive accomplishment, but a lot of it is due to Mowgli. He still has a level CS and gold lead over Kirei. Kirei's going to find himself running into Jiizuké as Leader is dealing with the minions underneath the tower.
I love how brave Jiizuké is, because he knows that Kirei still has his flash, and if Kirei really wanted to try to lock him up, like, they do a lot of damage. He does have Chain Vest, but that's still scary. But that's Jiizuké having the confidence that if you go for this, I have flash, I have Valkyrie, I'm probably fine. But someone will test their luck on Jiizuké one day.
Well, we're going to find out if it works out for him or not. We've not looked at this bottom lane a whole lot, Frosco. 84 CS to 85. Every time I've looked at the minimap, it has been pushed forward, so playing out as you expected. You talked about the wave control and priority that Vitality can build with it, but look at this, nearly 2 turret plates already secured. The second should fall here. Ooh, good damage. There's the TK Devour buying some time. The tower is just being chipped away, chipped away, chipped away.
The interesting thing is kind of where these two champions made different priorities in their itemization. You can see that Attila has opted for the Cull. Both AD carries do run teleport here, but the gold that has gone into the dagger and the Cull for Attila went to completed Berserker's Greaves for Han Sama here. So we'll see if that helps him out in kind of extended skirmishes, whereas Attila really just wants to sit in this lane, continue to farm.
Yeah, and of course, Han Sama needs to sidestep all those Dark Bindings. The CC chain is so powerful. We heard the Misfits players in the EU Rising video just talking about showing off their ability, showing off what they can do. And the flashes, the moments of brilliance, they have been bright, but they've been very few and far between, unfortunately. And we need to see what Misfits can do to claw back what is now nearly 2,000 gold deficit, and a Rift Herald was picked up on the side of Vitality, so Mowgli can drop that for a plate gank or a tower in the next few minutes.
That is just bad timing there on the screen. You saw that Kirei was setting up for a possible gank dive mid lane. This is something commonly that Misfits do look for, especially when you have access to Zed's flash and ultimate. Didn't find it mid, now looking bottom, probably still not going to find it.
Yeah, definitely not the case. I mean, Jactroll is flashless, so there is the possibility there, but neither mid lane has been able to roam just yet. You have to feel it's coming in the next few minutes, especially knowing Vitality have got a Herald, if they want to combo that together with anything.
I do want to kind of go back to this gank, as Kirei is really trying to force something, and this is kind of what locks Misfits out of being a top-tier team, is the timing of it. The fact that they weren't thinking about Jiizuké rotating over to pick up his blue buff, they were just thinking about the wave crash. Misfits just think about what is capable for them, rather than what their enemy wants to do. And as soon as they start taking into account what the enemy team also wants to do, then they become better.
Oh man, Jactroll, remember flashless target. Mowgli's gonna come in. Will be just enough time to save Jactroll's life. Hiva gets caught up by the binding, as well as the Yordle snap trap, but nothing further takes place. Summon a spellbook, keeping Hiva a little bit more alive. Then he swapped that over to heal for a potential engage.
And they're going to feel really good, Hansama and Hiva approaching this, maybe chipping some damage here. I think it should just be a free back timer for them, because they also have the safety of Leader and Kirei on top of them.
All right. Instead, they're going to chip away. That's a second turret plate secured. So 2 in the bottom lane here for Misfits. They've still only lost that 1 in the mid lane. The second that I thought was going to fall a little while ago, still standing. And by the way, Herald is still available, but only a minute and a half left before those plates disappear.
And we expect it to be a plate gank, unless maybe Vitality want to hang on to it to, there we go, there's the plate gank, to create a pressure point elsewhere. Because it's a Cloud Dragon though, I think this is why it's just about getting the gold, and especially on a champion like Corki, who's so close to his Trinity Force. By using the Herald here, getting all of these plates now onto Corki, he's that much more ahead, springboarded over the clock.
Yeah, and he's still got that chain vest to play with. By the way, Cabochard is still 25 CS up. He's just picked up that Spear of Shojin and teleported to the top lane. Saw their Dandan starting to recall, so he'll look to pick up his first item. So those big ticket items are now starting to be completed here on both sides of the rift.
And the big ticket item, as I'll hold it for Kirei. I don't think he's getting out of this one.
No, I don't think so either. Chilling Smite will come down. Flash is interrupted, and here comes Hiva though. There's a Void to buy some time and instant run away. Jiizuké will take the mid tower. So despite not finding the kill, they get the objective potentially at the cost of bottom.
Yeah, that was the difference maker, was the fact that Jiizuké decided to plant his feet, stay mid, and secure that mid tower. But this is going to be a 1-2 punch for Vitality. Yes, bottom will fall, but they will also get so much damage and control over top side.
Yeah, they really will. Still plates to go. 20 seconds if they want to take this next one. Accelerate even further ahead. This has been a very, very good early game from Vitality.
And it's also a good read and transition over the fact that it's a Cloud Dragon, not something like a Mountain or Infernal. And because they have the completed item of the Spear of Shojin, Vitality feel very confident rotating up to Cabochard, knowing how powerful he is right now.
Yeah, absolutely the case. Play around the strong members. Play around who's doing well. We haven't really seen Leader or Jiizuké roaming. It hasn't needed to, frankly, especially for the Vitality side. And they've just used Jactroll to, you know, fantastic play.
And we set the expectations up, Trevor, in draft phase that this should be about Kirei ganking Leader repeatedly, getting those kills off, unlocking the set, allowing him to roam and dive bottom, and he never got there. Kirei has spent so much of this game wandering back and forth, not getting the ganks, falling behind in terms of farm, and only secures the Cloud Dragon for his troubles.
And you have to give a lot of credit to Mowgli. I mean, Mowgli was in his face the entire time, denying camps, denying gank attempts, trading HP for control. And that's kind of what's allowed Cabo to just win on an island, and then the rest of Vitality to group up and, quite honestly, play fairly well around this mid lane, whether it was shadowing or directly influencing the tower. Jiizuké's got his Trinity Force, got his Sorcerer's Shoes, got a Chain Vest, and at 15 minutes, you've got to be very happy with that.
Yeah, they are feeling very powerful right now because of the completed items that you just listed. And so Vitality are about identifying what is next to take on the map, whether that's finding a pick, whether that's creating a safety net for Cabochard to continue to abuse a 1v1 off into a side lane. Vitality are in complete control right now because if a skirmish breaks out, they'll have the item advantage as long as it's a fair fight.
Yeah, fair fights. Right now, not a fair fight being set up. 3v1 if Dandan gets jumped on. Kirei is waiting in the wings though. And you can see the total plates, 9-6. Hansama and Hiva now pushing middle. Essence Reaver has been picked up by Hansama. And if you're an SK Gaming fan, now you start to get uncomfortable. You start to get panicky. Because Vitality are in a position to guarantee playoffs. And that will also eliminate SK if this lead will be converted to the victory.
And it's now about X Factor for Misfits. I'll hold it as Hiva.
Oh, a lot of damage. Hiva's going to have that grey health to buy some time. Locked in place on the Cataclysm. Now, body block needs to happen. There's no ace in the hole available. Dragon's Cast comes down, and that will be the disengage at the cost of a couple ultimates. Defensive flash there as Jactroll escapes with his life. nobody else falls.
And you have to feel it if we get a replay of that. I'm curious if Kirei maybe pulled the trigger too early on that ultimate. I don't know if it was supposed to be a disengaging ultimate or supposed to secure that kill on Mowgli.
Hopefully the replay will show it. But if you're a Misfits fan, you prefer that Hiva didn't go down, at the very least. I mean, Attila and Jactroll doing very well, setting themselves up with the CC combo. Attila, by the way, has actually played 11 professional games on Caitlyn. Back when his moniker was Mini Trupax. 6 wins, 5 losses. It's actually something he played a metric boatload of in the EU Challenger Series. And he's just got a great control. It kind of fits his playstyle and his personality, really. You know, in your face, keep you down. Really likes to bully people around.
I didn't get to see too much of Attila's lane phase just because we were looking elsewhere on the map with the junglers. I do think that the last time I did see Attila pilot Caitlyn, especially in the team fights, I was very impressed with him. I come from the region of Caitlyn players like Uzi, so I'd like to think that maybe it means something. Attila, I think you're a good Caitlyn.
Yeah, exactly. Now, right now, he's a little bit behind in CS because of the lane shuffles. Hans Summer's been left alone in a lane for a significant amount of time. I held my breath for a second as I wondered if Misfits were going, but there weren't really flashes available on the targets closest to him. And now we'll get a closer look at this Kirei Gragas barrel.
And again, it's kind of like bait on bait on bait. The fact that Hiva is able to use the flash and then Mowgli uses the stopwatch. And okay, that's what I wanted to check for. I wanted to see if it was disengaging Attila or the fact that Kirei could have held that, waited for the stopwatch on Mowgli, and then tried to kick the Jarvan back into his team. And I prefer the latter.
Yeah. Of course you do. Of course you want to kill things. That's how we progress the game. Let's talk about what Misfits are doing. They've tried to hemorrhage the bleeding. They have moved around the map and they'll put a lot of damage onto this top outer turret, but they haven't been pushed deeper into their own territory, and feels like some creative decision-making to get some pressure back on the map.
I like how you use the word creative decision-making. It feels pretty desperate to me, and that's been the story of Misfits for this last 18 minutes. They have been so desperate to try to force ganks, to try to force kills. They want to skirmish, they want to fight, and they are falling further and further behind in their CS between their lanes. The only advantage that they have right now is to Hans-Sama and Attila, but otherwise, these big solo laners, Jiizuké and Cabo, especially when you have the scaling advantage on Corki, are getting out of control.
Yeah, they really are. Leader's going to throw down the death mod to try and buy some time, but he's blown up by Jiizuké. Oh, the death mod picked up the kill! I did not think he was going to have that much damage. Ends up making it a 1-for-1. Hiva will try to threaten a dive here, chasing for Attila, who's got the 90 caliber net and flash available to him. That creative / desperate decision-making has netted a second tower in the mid lane and at least a kill top.
And I do want to give credit to Kirei. He did a good job making sure that Jactroll and Cabochard couldn't walk up the bot lane river into mid lane, giving Hans-Sama and Hiva enough time to push down that tower. Take another look at this one. I wasn't expecting the damage either. I don't think Mowgli was.
No, I don't think so either. As soon as I saw Leader going down, I was looking at the minimap and I was trying to figure out, okay, what's next? What can Misfits do? That ignite damage, that is just crazy. Well, it ends up being 1-for-1. Mowgli's going to concede the first death on the Vitality squad. And this might feel a little, you know, BM here, but both of these players, Mowgli and Kirei, historically have died a lot by 15 minutes. This is one of the first times in a while when neither of them conceded a death. But I prepped the stats, so I had to throw it up there.
If you gave me expectations heading into a Vitality Misfits, I was like, this is going to be a party. It's about who is invited. They should be bloodthirsty. We should be fighting all the time. And it's not for lack of trying. We've definitely tried to have a lot of skirmishes here, but it has been a very slow game in terms of actual death count.
But do you like what you're seeing from Vitality? They're still holding on to their lead. It's marginal by now, and with another tower falling, and now Mowgli actually losing his flash, he may get run down. This is a red buff. Xayah continues to chase. The Gragas barrel does nothing. Jactroll throws out the ultimate on the shackles, and it will get interrupted. So actually nobody from Vitality goes down until just then. Flash forward. Jactroll gets dunked. Down by Dan. 3 kills to 1, and the tower fell off. Misfits are coming back.
Yeah, Misfits are just going to throw the same punch every single time, and they are walking in as 4 or 5 members, and they are just trying to force engages, and they keep finding them. And you look at what's happening to Vitality in the side lanes. Yeah, they're grabbing farm. That was Jiizuké and Cabo this time, but it's not translating into objectives or anything like that. And you could think, how much longer are Vitality not going to be on the map at the same time, working together, synced up, so that if they get picked like this, something else is being traded on the map?
Well, talking about trading on the map, during the course of the last 20 minutes, Misfits have traded some controlling lanes for these 2 Cloud Drakes. And in a 1-3-1 comp where you want to move and get set up in lanes, there is a benefit here. Hans-Sama might just get blown up. Jiizuké has got a big one in a moment. And he will just sidestep. Even may need the Devour in a moment.
Oh, I love watching Jiizuké. So the thing is he's so good because of how many skill shots he's able to deny and dodge and just like his fancy footwork, and it doesn't seem like a lot there as he's just like blue suede shoes. But think of how many times you see Jiizuké so far forward. And yeah, he does get caught sometimes, but I just love that that mentality of a player that if he's ever on a team that's using that pressure that's also doing something simultaneously, Jiizuké is such a valuable asset.
Rapid fire cannon as well, so he's going to get that extra range. And this was the engage where I really thought Misfits were going to do a lot more.
Yeah, Mowgli doesn't have his flash right there. He is able to disengage from it in the end. Curious for Attila to actually stop and use his ultimate. Just kind of a head scratcher for me there.
Yeah, I wonder if it was like a disengage tool or something. Irrelevant, it was interrupted by Kirei. Now Ace in the hole will tag down Hansama. Infinity Edge Rapid Fire Cannon also for Attila's Caitlyn.
The way that Caitlyn's going to work, especially with the buffs that came through on the base damage for her ultimate, is you essentially walk into lane, you see who has the least amount of sustain, and you just pop the ultimate at them. Yeah. Just because that cooldown means really nothing in a team fight. You never want to go into a team fight and be like, okay, let me line up my shot, I'm going to stop moving.
It does not work that way in professional play. You need as many auto attacks with her long range as is possible, and even extended with that Rapid Fire Cannon. Now here comes Leader, throws out those shurikens. There's a lot of damage onto Mowgli, who does have the Ninja Tabi, as well as the Chain Vest. Cabochard waiting just in the river, and Dan with teleport availables down in the bottom lane.
The flank.
Here comes Cabo. He's jumping onto Kirei. Jiizuké's moving forward. Defensive flash already, as well as the Gragas barrel. Jiizuké's not done yet. Exhaust will not be enough damage to kill him, but now it's a trade. 1-for-1 as the mid laners go down.
And Leader was so close to actually getting out of that. Thank God that Cabochard actually stood on top of Jiizuké and caught the Zed as he came out, because look at his shadow placement. It was in the Baron pit. That was going to be a hello, good night, and goodbye from Leader. He almost got out.
2 kills for 2, both times conceding his own life. The goal difference means absolutely nothing at 23 minutes. And after the first 10, SK were ready to pack up their playoff chances. Right now, they still are alive. And this was the engage from Vitality. Long distance, but Jiizuké closes the gap.
Yeah, and again, it's Cabochard who starts it out. Check out where Leader is. He's in the Baron pit. So there's the shadow. He goes in, and if he doesn't get locked coming out of this and just popped, he tries to reposition himself, and he's out.
All right, so where do the teams go from here now for us? Because I know that Misfits want to go 1-3-1, but are they in a position to set it up? Or, you know, do Vitality want to try force some poke sieges with this long range?
I like the fact that you bring in poke and siege, because I want to quickly go back to Caitlyn. I know that everyone's used to seeing Caitlyn. She stands in the back. She just gets out as many auto attacks as possible. But in these long range compositions with the Corkis and the Zeers, it's a different play style. It's more about the poke. It's about finding the headshots. There's not a lot of time that you'll usually find with how much like backline gap closing there is between a Zed and Aatrox or Gragas, where Caitlyn's gonna get like multiple shots off. Like, if she does, that's great. But this is about Corki and Caitlyn stepping up, getting a headshot, getting a rocket, chipping people away, and then looking for the flank.
Oh, but that also means that you cannot afford to be out of position, because Leader and Kirei try pop you. This time around, it's Leader and Kirei. They get absolutely caught out. Deathmark goes down. Mowgli's the target. Exhaust will buy some time as a Deathmark will just about kill him. Not going to be able to find the Dark Binding. Jactroll flashed for that one. Here comes Cabo. That's a flash away from Leader. No correction, the Shadow Dash. While that's going on, in the mid lane, Hansama's pushing the tower. Dandan's trying to shove bot, so they'll end up trading 2 deaths for a mid tower, but now Baron control for Vitality.
And that's the thing, it almost forces Vitality's hand to push this Baron. Now there is a TP from Dandan, so he can join this. 3 people, he goes ahead. They're going to try to stop it.
Dandan's coming in, teleport's going to complete. Baron's down to 50%. There's not a super amount of HP on the side of Vitality. That's a re-engage. Cabochard will find the stunner to Dandan, but the feathers fly.
Look at
that! 1, 2, 3. Vitality are wrecked.
They just go full face first into this Xayah. He misses his Abyssal Voyage, though. Look at Hiva.
Oh, that's a... Now, remember, Hansama's been playing with DOS for a week. Also, Hiva just looked at me and laughed. Hiva is in hysterics right now.
Hiva's like, we've got this, boys. Jump aboard. Let's go. No one climbs aboard.
Oh, definitely a little bit of misunderstanding. But wait, look at the death timers. Teleport out for Jiizuké and Attila. Misfits may have enough time to secure Baron. Misfits may be in control of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. They decided the death timers didn't sync up. Jiizuké is bottom, does have the TP. Misfits run into the Baron, deny it from Vitality, then run it back and secure it themselves.
And listening to the crowd in Berlin, Berlin, as we watch this Alienware replay, they are on the side of Misfits.
Yeah, okay, this is the Hansama meat grinder play. So you look for the re-engage from Cabochard. They aren't able to lock down Hansama. He doesn't take damage from that fight until the very end, and the damage has already been done. And then this is just for good measure.
And of course, SK Gaming very excited about the Baron play. We are in week 9. It is the last 10 games of the regular season. And that tells it all, Froskurinn.
Welcome back, Hansama.
It's about bloody time. 3,900 damage, the perfect setup.
He's had some great games. He was styling on Mickey and Perks just the other day in those 2v2 kills. Some fancy footwork with the flashes. I've dearly missed him.
Well, Hansama, 301, Infinity Edge, Essence Reaver, Rapid Fire Cannon, 650 gold bounty. Misfits as a team are up 3,000 gold, and they just secured an Ocean Drake to complement the double clouds. And now remember, all the pressure is on Vitality, while their hopes of making playoffs are still alive, even with the loss here. That voice in the back of your head, what if, is getting louder and louder, and Misfits with Baron and a 1-3-1, this is exactly where they want to be.
I think this is just you, Trevor. It feels like every time I cast with you, there's always an upset. In fact, it was you cast the last Misfits upset.
Yeah, I also feel like every time I cast Vitality, things don't go so well. I can remember this is the 3rd instance, this split. Maybe the caster curse is a thing. We'll have to find out. Nida is busy chilling, doing a dance with his cannon minion in the bottom lane. But look at the minimap. Look at the minimap. It's multiple waves of pressure, multiple towers going down. This will be the 6th and final outer turret secured in favor of Misfits.
Yeah, and at this point, Vitality know that if they make a mistake, that the game would end with this amount of pressure and having Baron buff available. So they're just going to play it very calm, wait for the waves to push into them. They have ample amounts of wave clear. You can allow to let a single inhib go down. It's when 2 inhibs go down that things get very dicey.
Yeah, and of course, I'm so proud of Hansama learning how Abyssal Voyage works. He joins leader down in the bottom lane to take out the inhibitor turret. And look at the Gragas barrel. That's going to dissuade Vitality for now. Jactroll below 50%. Deathmark still available for leader, who's the danger man. And Dan looking to take the tower down in the top lane. Inhibitor will fall. Vitality are routed, and they're currently running for their lives.
Yeah, Dan is the man right now. Again, single inhib going down. That's not the end of the world. It's when 2 go down that things get especially hard to deal with. But you can see the teleports coming in from both Hansama and Hiva into that mid lane. Misfits are not done yet. They're going to continue to try their luck, continue to push forward. And if Vitality make a mistake, that could be the end of the game.
Yeah, so difficult. The one thing that is good for Vitality, the long range and the poke, once Baron wears off, will help them stall and will help them delay, but the margin for error is now slimmer than ever. Cannot afford to get caught out of place, cannot afford for a Gragas Barrel or Z Ultimate to take down one of the carries. And look, the base is just being shredded. Still 6 seconds on Baron. This is a 5,000 gold Baron power play. And Misfits are definitely making a statement in their second to last game of the year.
Dance,
This
Hiva,
season
dance!
will be over.
And you can see everyone's putting on the moves right now. Misfits, they have the momentum behind them. They're not playing for playoffs. This is just nameplates off, playing to make a statement, and they look well in control here. That's 1, that's 2 inhibs.
Yeah, 2 inhibs down, and with Baron buff wearing off, you feel like the safe option here should be to back away, spend some of that gold.
You would think.
And then play for the final push, but maybe Misfits are feeling themselves. There's the engage, Hiva with the devouring Kirei. That's a great route from Hansama. Deathmark into Attila. The hourglass will buy some time with a stopwatch rather. There's the
Wind here.
once more. Misfits don't give a damn about playing safe, and instead are pushing into the base. They secure themselves 4 kills. That's the 2nd triple kill for Hansama. And now they set their sights on the Nexus. The 3rd and final inhibitor going to be ignored for now. The 5-man stack of Misfits turn onto the Nexus turrets. Jiizuké gets caught up by the chains, knocked back, taken down by Kirei. The Nexus turrets will fall, and Misfits will take down Vitality.
And Hansama, we trust. A spectacular performance from the AD carry, despite missing the Abyssal Voyage. It's okay, Hiva, we all laughed. And this means that SK Gaming's hopes are alive. This now means that SK Gaming have so much more pressure against Excel.
And it also means Vitality's hopes of avoiding the 3rd seed, Vitality's hopes of securing 4th is now done. While Vitality still have a very, very good shot at locking in playoffs because of their win-loss, it is still a lot more pressure. Now let's turn our attention to Misfits. They picked up the win. They got bullied and beaten up in the early game, but it didn't matter because their opponents couldn't press them in the mid game.
And they never stopped looking for opportunities and plays, never stopped thinking about, okay, does Leader have kill pressure here? Can we do something in this side lane? It was time and time again that the Zed was making the picks, that people were getting picked off in the mid lane, and suddenly Misfits were grappling control back. That was a 2k gold deficit to a 5k gold lead in the course of maybe 7 minutes.
Unbelievable turnaround. Bringing back Hiva into the roster for this week, but I think very crucially, just that mid-game decision-making, as you rightly pointed out, Frosk. Misfits didn't concede, they didn't give up. They're playing for pride. Hell, frankly, they might be playing for their jobs, right? These are individual players that we don't know where they're gonna land up next year. We don't know if they're still gonna be in the Misfits roster, if other teams are interested, and they are playing with the future in mind.
And I love what Dan said in that EU rising of Misfits, this idea that with G2 kind of setting the trend that skill expression is so important, that a roster like Misfits is a roster worth taking a bet on.
Yeah.
That you have very young, very clearly mechanically gifted players, not just in Leader, but across the board, that, you know, if they survive the offseason, if they stay with Misfits, you can see the ceiling there.
What you see is the potential, right? There's opportunity for these players to grow and to develop and to become something. And unfortunately, it's been a tumultuous split and year for Misfits. They only have 1 game left before they round out the 2019 season. We get a couple of highlights from this Misfits win, which obviously keeps SK Gaming's hopes alive. So let's take a look at some of the plays, starting with the first Hansama triple kill.
Yeah, and this is the Baron defense here from Hansama, and it just feels like anytime you go into the Xayah, if you don't lock her up, if she uses her ultimate to disengage like that, lines up the feathers and then just annihilates you, it's pretty feels bad moment.
Yeah, it really, really does. I had anticipated Misfits to back away during this previous siege, but they saw an opportunity, and combination of Kirei barrel and Hansama feathers, they just picked apart Vitality and made it look easy.
And I thought that if Vitality were able to survive this, that Attila not having his flash, because he immediately flashes after that barrel, I'm like, that's it. Misfits will be able to force the next fight. Attila doesn't have flash, and it's going to be game over. But Misfits are like, no, we got exactly what we came for. Dan is suddenly in the back. Leader just jumps the line, is also down there, like high-fiving him in Vitality's backline, and they just end the game.
And even though we didn't quite see the pop off from Zed, the threat of the kills was very influential. Look, key player of the game, head over to @LOL Esports on Twitter and vote for either Dan, Leader, or Hiva. And this is actually a tough one for me, but I just think it's great to see Misfits showing up, great to see them not giving up in the last second to last game.
There's a name missing there. Yeah, that's fine.
Why is that? Hansama?
Yes.
It's fine. Let's learn more about Misfits' win from Hansama, and Dan.
Thank you, guys, and thank you both for joining me. It must have been a bittersweet kind of a week, knowing that playoffs were not at stake. So tell me about the prep this week and coming to the studio. Dan, go first.
Well, we obviously came in with 0 expectations. It was kind of like the first week where, I mean, for me at least, where we played, because we were like, playoffs is like impossible, you know? And then winning kind of gave us hope, and it just got, like, personally got me like a bit of stress, you know, and everything. But this week was just 0 expectations. We were like, whatever, we'll just play our game. It's just going to be another solo queue, yeah.
All right, well, Hans, what was your mindset going into this week?
To play good as an AD carry, not caring too much about all the things around, just focusing on myself first. I think this week, I mean, we barely scream. I play a spam solo queue, like I did those 3 weeks, and here we go.
Tell me about you being back in the LEC, because you guys were benched. You played in the LFL, then you come back. So how did this happen?
So, wait, in total, I didn't play for 3 weeks, right? So yeah, after everyone got benched, I accepted it because, I mean, I didn't disagree, because to be honest, I was not at the level that I was happy. And during those 2 weeks, during the LFL time, I've been playing like 250 solo queue in like 2 weeks or something like that. I don't know. And focusing purely on AD carry skill. I think for like a long time I've been focusing on shot calling and macro, how to speak, but it's not really me. I mean, it's a skill that I acquired, but it's not really me. I think I've been more of just focusing on my own skill as an AD carry, like how to have the proper resources, team fight, mechanics. That's all I need, and I've been focusing on that the past 2 weeks, and I'm really happy on my skill now.
I mean, even talking to you right now, I've known you for a long time. Even talking to you right now, you sound different. So we'll get back to that later. But I want to know from both of you, you guys went through so many roster swaps on stage, off stage, in the LEC, in the LFL. How was it for you two to go through so many changes and have a different team every week? Dan.
Yeah, it was just strange, I suppose, because everyone has a different style. Like, every player that gets subbed in and every player that gets subbed out obviously makes the team play differently. Like, Hansama is like super good in like team fight, mechanically his laning phase is really strong, so we just have to like adapt. But yeah, I guess it's just good overall experience because we get to be more versatile, we get to play different styles, and we just aren't that static anymore, I suppose.
It's gonna be a hard one, but if you had to say what is the A-tier Misfits team, what would it be? Which players? Do you think you found the right composition right now?
I mean,
the way the team was.
I think the players we have right now is probably the best at this point in time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Hans, you were saying that you evolved a lot. You talk more in game. That was not maybe the best thing you could do before. So tell me about changing, because it's necessary as an AD carry now to communicate more. So does it feel like yourself?
I mean, for this whole year, I've been trying to talk so much more, but being on the academy, they have a decent amount of shot callers, so I barely say any words, and I just play my game. And I like to play it that way better, I guess, and giving the good calls the most important, I guess,
If you had to change one thing about this split, what would it be?
To focus on myself first.
In you, Dan?
Yeah, just like play better, just put in more effort, put in more time. Like, you can never put in enough effort at a time. And I think, yeah, if I could have changed one thing, it would be that.
I think you guys can all be proud of what you achieved and the way you turned things around. So thank you very much for joining me today. And I hope to see a relaxed Misfits tomorrow as well. And we're going to take a short break, and coming back, it's going to be XL versus SK Gaming. Don't go anywhere, guys.
Didn't work out yet, and here comes Predator. And on Mowgli, Attila's in so much trouble. Jiizuké's moving forward, defensive flash already, as well as the Gragas barrel. Jiizuké's not done yet. Exhaust will not be enough damage to kill him, but now it's a trade. There's not a super amount of HP on the side of Vitality. That's a re-engage. Cabochard will find the stunner to Dan down, but the feathers fly. Look at Summer. 1, 2, 3. There's the engage. Heaver with the devouring Kirei. That's a great route from Hansama. Deathmonger to Attila. The hourglass will buy some time with the stopwatch rather. There's the wind here. Once more, Misfits don't give a damn about playing safe, and instead are pushing into the base.
Hi, I'm Pringles.
I'm Chips. Wait, are we doing this Mac versus PC thing?
Guess so.
Then I am the Mac of the chips.
Cool. Then I'm the PC. Perfect for gaming. Easy to eat, no greasy hands.
Wait, I'm into gaming too.
You mean like into the keyboard crumbled?
No.
Or into the TeamSpeak rustling?
No, I'm into that new frag LOL thing.
Well then, GG, my friend.